Good evening, Internet, and welcome to Top Shift 113. As we approach another installation which has been attacked by Thargoids, I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about the new Squadrons functionality which will be coming as part of the next beta. What Squadrons is effectively a guild system. This has been missing from the game, and players who have aligned themselves with player groups have normally used other external tools such as Discord to be able to communicate and coordinate. And I am flying in too fast here. Oh, right, okay. Here's safety tip number one: don't fly with Drambuie. The functionality includes being able to obviously create a squadron or join a squadron or search for one. Searching for a squadron is quite useful because you're able to specify what kind of gameplay styles you like, what kind of availability you are. They've gone into quite a lot of detail with some of the tags that you're able to set up, so that if you're only a part-timer, you can look for groups which are set up as part-time. Of course, it does have squadrons have I think at the moment 5 ranks which you're allowed to customize and give certain permissions to. So if you are a squadron leader, it is actually easy to delegate. And the most important thing about this is that the squadron can be aligned with factions within the game. Now, that's not been possible before. Like as I said, everything has been sort of kind of loosely knit, where people would say, all right, I am now a Hutton trucker. I will go onto the Hutton trucker Discord and see what they want me to do. At the moment, all these things can now be handled in game. There are 2 caveats which have got the community wondering. The first is that each squadron has a maximum of about 500 players. This means for the big factions that have thousands of players, several squadrons would have to be set up, and they would probably still have to coordinate via Discord. The other caveat being, of course, you can only be a member of one squadron at a time. This has caused a little bit of a problem because there's a lot of chop and change that some people like to do. The other surprise was the amount of chat channels which have been increased, obviously, to handle this new functionality. I mean, on top of the usual wing and local chat that you can do, you can now have 2 extra squad channels, one for your squadron and one for the leaders of the squadron who'd like to talk about internal squadron matters. There's also been added a system-wide chat channel. Now, this is different from local. It means that if you have any commander in the same system as you, you can talk to them. You're not restricted to the same instance as you were before. So that can lead to further communication and coordination with just people you've never met before, which actually I think that is a well overdue feature. In the beta at the moment, people have been getting the hang of the new exploration mechanics, especially the new discovery scanners and exploration modes. I'd say that after about half an hour of twiddling and acclimatization, I think I'd got most of the basics down, which is very gratifying, because I was quite scared that it would be basically a cliff-like learning curve. But I think the main problem that I had effectively was setting up the bindings, which I do believe has been sorted in the next beta. To be honest, I'm able now to scan an entire system and get the first discovery scanner very quickly on a very large system. I haven't been able to do that before, and people have now published guides so that you know which particular squiggle on the scanner will relate to what type of planet, so that if you can just eyeball what's on the FSS, you will see whether or not there's anything of interest that you want to go looking. I'll be going over mining at a later point, but as that seems to be another big subject. But so far, the reception to the beta has been quite positive. There's a lot of people really enjoying getting the hang of these new mechanics, and the fact that you can now discover on-planet items such as geysers and barnacles just by using a system scan, instead of having to eyeball the entire planet, is an absolute godsend. So I'll be covering the new mining mechanics in another video, but so far so good. I must admit I'm actually quite impressed with the beta as it stands at this moment in time. So what we're going to do now is we'll just go through what's been happening with this particular little Thargoid site that's been hit in the background.
My love, I can't tell you how relieved I am that my term is almost over. This place has been a nightmare. I've had to deal with an overworked security force, underpaid administrative staff, a volatile population, and the constant threat of strikes from municipal workers. Add to that the panic surrounding these reports of mysterious ships, and I'm just about at my limit. Only 2 weeks to go. 2 more weeks, and I won't give this place a second glance. I can't wait to be with you again.
Now this is Sharp's work. It's supposed to be just a manufacturing and mining facility that was set up by the Sirius Corporation. Right when the Pleiades was beginning to be colonized. There does seem to be a little bit of disconnect about when all these events actually happened. I mean...
As if the mood in the settlement wasn't tense enough. Some pilot just made an emergency landing outside our perimeter. He was babbling about some strange craft in the system. He came in hot, his hull covered in laser scarring. When they brought him in for debriefing, he was screaming like a madman. Something about aliens returning to human space. I didn't even know they'd been here before. Rumors of his report have already reached the civilian population. They're clamoring for me to organize a mass evacuation and threatening to revolt if I don't. As if I didn't have enough to worry about. I hate to burden you with this, my dear, but you're the only one I can confide in. This will all be over soon, I promise. Until then. There was a riot last night. I put all the security teams on high alert. I should have taken the threats of a revolt more seriously. At least it didn't spread beyond the civilian quarter. Only minor injuries among the security forces who managed to quell the uprising with non-lethal measures. In light of this, I've decided to accede to their request and order an evacuation of the settlement. It's a logistical nightmare, and it might mean I have to stay on past my resignation date. But once it's all done, I'll be home free. I promise. The settlement has come under attack. It seems that the pilot wasn't crazy after all. I saw one of the ships as it flew overhead. Whatever is attacking us is definitely not human. Much of the population has already gone, but I ordered an emergency evacuation all the same. There's just me and a few civilians left. We're about to head to the hangar now. Even if I have to fly the ship myself, I promise I will see you again. Until then.
Oh dear, I do get the impression that's the equivalent of the 2 days before retirement cop cliche that happens in quite a lot of movies. Well, that's it for this episode of Top Shift. If you like what I do, please like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you next time. Thank you and good night.